Black Dog After Dark is recorded in a video store by people who have been drinking. We swear a lot, and there's spoilers. It's not safe for work, unless you work in a video store and have also been drinking.
Oh, my pants kind of feel weird. Why is it all lumpy?
All right, you primitive screwheads, listen up.
Roger, Roger. What's our vector, Victor?
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass.
I know that, Mr. Man. They also call them cereals. I'm not stupid, you know.
The story is ludicrous. You can imagine where it goes from here.
Fixes the cable.
What would you do if you accidentally discovered the house next door was occupied by something unspeakably evil? No one believes you.
Mom, I didn't have a nightmare.
Not your mom.
They did kill a girl over there.
Not your girlfriend.
Charlie, is this some sort of a trick?
Not even the police.
Look, I know it's crazy. I know that.
You'll do anything to protect yourself. But it will do anything to protect its secret. Fright Night. If you love being scared, this could be the night of your life.
You'll probably edit it out anyway.
Absolutely.
You edit everything.
How would you know? You don't listen to the fucking podcast.
Yeah, because you edit it down.
Happy Halloween, listeners. It is After Dark. This is Black Dog Video, which means this is the Black Dog Video After Dark podcast, a.k.a. Black Dog After Dark. I am one of your hosts, Dylan Reimer, and to my left is...
My name is Alex. Alex Chisholm. I
James Bond.
work here at the Black Dog, and I also work at the Rio Theater down the street.
And I'll be Darren Gay for this evening. I own this decrepit, I don't know, cobweb-infested, scary... I'm trying to think of something Halloween to describe the store. Anyways, I own the video store. And yeah, here we are.
The store is so decrepit that it doesn't need Halloween decorations.
And this is our very special Halloween episode. This episode, by the way, once again, throwing it out to Jefferson's Barbershop.
Oh, yes.
Our fine sponsors.
I think I'm getting a haircut soon.
I definitely need one.
If I was going to get a haircut, where would you suggest I go?
I would say go to Jefferson's Barbershop at 6th and Commercial. I should probably have looked this up before I started this impromptu plug.
On the west side.
But really cool people giving you really good haircuts. I like to go there because they are pop culture fanatics, and you can sit there and have like an actually entertaining conversation and a great haircut.
I recently made a donation to them just as friends because several months ago, I'm a thrift store fanatic. I found for $7, I'll say, I found a Boba Fett skateboard. It was sitting in my room, getting in my way. I'm like, I do not need a Boba Fett skateboard, so I paid it forward. There's two things that are synonymous with Jefferson's besides excellent haircuts. It's Star Wars and skateboards. I hope they found a nice place for it.
Tonight's spooky movie. 1985's Fright Night.
Fright Night.
Which is a blast. Now, this was a choice by committee.
Yes.
And it was kind of a last-minute pick because we were going to do The Haunting.
Yes, but we couldn't get a hold of a copy for all of us to watch, unfortunately.
Because somebody had gone and put it on his picks.
And someone rented it. Yeah, well...
If you hadn't put it on Darren's picks shelf, nobody would have rented the damn thing.
I never thought of that.
Yeah, well, there's a reason.
Well, the thing is...
Don't abuse that power, Darren.
It's also October, and everyone loves horror movies in October, and so it's hard to get the movie that you want.
Yeah.
Chances are the horror movies are going to be rented.
We'll save it for next year.
We have probably close to like 500 horror movies in this store.
Yeah. Honestly, I hadn't seen this movie since I think it was released on video, which probably was like 1986, 87.
Came out in 85, so yeah, probably would have been a couple years after that.
I think I was too young to see it in theaters. There's no way my mom would have let me go see an R-rated vampire movie.
Was it R-rated?
There's tits and swearing and fangs. I have hardly any memory of this. I remember really loving it. You know, it's your friend's birthday, and they rent a bunch of R-rated movies, horror movies, and you eat pizza, I remembered there being like a really cool vampire guy.
Yeah.
And
weren't those the best things though? When you get together with your friends and you rent a bunch of especially R-rated movies,
horror, R-rated,
and eat some pizza and stay up all night, and as long as you can, anyways, and you watch. Yeah, these awesome movies. I love doing that.
Or terrible ones because
you're
too young to know.
It didn't even matter because you're hanging with your friends. You're watching whatever. Whatever you're watching is going to be great because you're watching with your friends and eat pizza.
Yeah. So I have really had no opinion of this. It could have gone either way, and I will reserve my judgment of this movie until the end of this podcast.
As you should, since that's the format.
How about you, Alex? When did you first see Fright Night?
I saw it on pay TV.
Super Channel?
Super Channel, one of those stations' first choice.
Dartmouth Channel, yeah.
The Dartmouth Channel.
No, not the Dartmouth Channel. But
change the movie up every like 3 weeks.
Channel Cod.
I saw it in about 1986 when it first hit cable TV, known as pay TV. Back then.
Did you like it?
Star Channel. You know what? I don't really. Yeah, I sort of did. It was late at night. I think I kind of slept through a bit of it back then.
Right.
But yeah, you know, it had some moments.
Oh, yeah. It's got 90 minutes, like 200.
Well, I remember everyone around me who had seen it praising it, like people around that time.
Well, I watched it when it came on video back in whenever it was in the late 80s, and I watched it probably 5 or 6 times. I loved it. I just love the idea of the vampire next door and people not believing him, but then...
You'd be crazy to believe someone who said my next door neighbor is a vampire.
Well, yeah, of course you would.
That'd be... Oh my God!
I really like that title, though. My next door neighbor is a vampire.
Okay, well, it starts out 1985, directed by Tom Holland, not Spider-Man, obviously.
No, that was his first directing job, big directing job. I didn't realize it, but he was a screenwriter before.
Yeah, he wrote and he did a bunch of acting too.
He wrote some really cool stuff. I have it written down. He wrote just before this, he wrote a movie called Cloak and Dagger with Dabney Coleman, which is actually pretty good.
Dagger?
We
don't have that one.
That movie is fucked up. Because there's guns and explosions and violence.
It's really good.
But it's a little kid movie.
He also wrote a Black Dog After Dark favorite called The Class of 1984.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I didn't know
that. And Psycho 2, which I thought was really good as well.
I still haven't seen Psycho 1.
Really?
I know. It's on that list of. I'm ashamed to say I haven't seen it.
Everyone has their shame list.
It's like I got to see Psycho before I see Psycho 2, or it won't make any sense.
No, watch Psycho 1 before Psycho 2.
Tom Holland also directed Child's Play.
Yeah.
And then a couple of really bad Stephen King.
He did Child's Play, which I liked a lot too back then.
So it starts out, and it's suburban America. Charlie and Amy, played by Amanda Bierce, who was Marcy Darcy in Married to Children for those Gen X and Boomers.
I didn't realize that until you mentioned it now. But I thought she looked familiar. First of all, I thought she shouldn't be playing a teenager, whoever this is.
She looks like she's about 30. Both of them do.
Well, she didn't. Neither of them look like teenagers.
No,
they look like they're 23, 24
Well, especially
years old.
Especially the wardrobe for Charlie actually dresses like a real estate salesman.
He totally does. He's got like a blazer and like a turtleneck,
like matching loafers. He's got a 401k. He's always complaining about.
It's a funny scene because it starts outside of his house and the camera slowly pans up and you're hearing what he's watching on the TV, which is some shitty movie. But then it's funny because the actors in the movie he's watching start making out.
Yeah.
And also hears those awful kissing sounds.
Slurping, gross slurping.
So I was watching. My kid was in the room. He wasn't paying attention. He's doing his own fucking YouTube shit. He hears the kissing and he goes, just at the sound of that. That's one of the worst sounds in movies.
I'm
is
pretty
kissing
sure.
sounds.
Yeah.
I hate watching people kiss.
Yeah, and then it pans over. So it's a TV. They're watching this late night horror show called Fright Night.
Yeah, and
hosted by Roddy McDowall.
And he's hosting a show. Basically, just shows his old movies. Because he used to be an actor way back in the day.
Yeah.
And so it's a young Roddy McDowall on screen in the movies he's watching. And he's like a vampire killer. He's a famous vampire killer.
Yeah.
But the scene they show when he's about to kill a vampire, he pulls up the stake, but he's holding it backwards. He's holding this, like the pointy ends pointing towards him. And I don't know. I assume that's intentional because it's saying this is a bad movie.
Yes, that's one of the things I love about this movie is tonally dead to rights.
Yeah,
it is consistently a throwback to 1950s, like Hammer style.
Yeah,
and
he's kind of like a Vincent Price character.
Yeah, and back in the day, there actually were these people who would host these late night. Elvira, Mistress of the Dark.
She was the most famous one, and
Vampire.
A lot of places in the United States had regional actors, like for their whatever station.
One of the most influential was Eddie Driscoll from Bangor, Maine. He's referenced in several.
Yeah, Stephen King loves that guy.
Stephen King. No, he was a station manager who had a vaudeville sensibility. He was never an actor. When I was a kid watching American television in the Maritimes, it was all sent to us on a signal from Bangor, Maine. And station manager Eddie Driscoll used to host the movie shows.
Ah, interesting.
So Roddy McDowall is this Eddie Driscoll type. So it pans over.
Like Count Floyd.
And
by the way, did you ever notice on SCTV, Count Floyd is actually Floyd Robertson.
Who's an alcoholic.
They're doing the parody of that. It's a station personality.
Yeah, no, it's great.
Who's also dressed
There's
up
one,
as
Earl Cannonbear's last day. Floyd Robertson gets drunk, dressed as Count Floyd, and he comes on the regular news, all pissed, and forgets that it's Earl Cannonbear's last day. It's great. But anyway, so it pans over, and it's Charlie's bedroom, and for some reason he and his girlfriend are not on the bed.
They're laying on the floor, making out
next to the bed.
Why? I don't know.
What is the point of that?
Yeah, that's kind of.
You don't want to mess with the sheets. Yeah, I don't get it.
And he keeps trying to get his hand up her shirt, and she's no. And then for some reason she decides, well, let's get into bed.
Yeah,
but
she takes her shirt off.
Yeah, well, she does. Yeah, she does. She takes her shirt off, and she looks so scared when she's sitting on the bed. But he's distracted. He's like looking at, he's watching the TV, and then he sees outside.
Yeah, with binoculars.
For some reason, of course, he has binoculars.
He's got binoculars.
Of course, who didn't have binoculars in their bedroom?
His new neighbor, Jerry Dandridge,
is being carried into his house in a
coffin.
coffin.
Chris Sarandon is it's nighttime though. So is he carrying the coffin?
It's him and his Renfield, his boy guy. They're both carrying the coffin in, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's a pretty fancy.
You don't really see who it is. It's just two people carrying the coffin.
And so Amy is just like, she gets her kid off and she's ready to go, and he's like, but my neighbors are moving in.
like, dude, come on! You've been hounding this,
pawing at her.
Yeah, and then she's finally giving you the green light, and you have to watch someone carry a coffin into his.
Charlie is just fascinated by his neighbor,
who
he doesn't know is a vampire yet. So why is he so interested?
Because he sees them carrying a coffin into the house.
Big deal. Who doesn't have a coffin?
I don't know. I'd be torn. I would like to be with my girlfriend, but I'd also like to see what's going on next door.
If you were 17. You would absolutely rather be having sex and watching a couple of gay dudes carry a coffin into the house.
My giant hard-on would be just leading me right to the bed. It'd be like a divining rod.
Does she get upset and leave?
She does. She leaves while he's still looking out the window. She's gone.
But she doesn't leave completely. He chases her downstairs.
Right.
And then the mom,
who's on the phone having this weird conversation. She goes, well, yeah, maybe we'll come over to your house and play hooker. They're playing a game called Hooker. Was that a thing back in the 80s?
I don't recall it being called Hooker.
No, she said, I'm going to come over and play Hooker at your house.
I think they were saying they're going to watch TJ Hooker.
Yeah.
No.
That would have made sense.
It would have made more sense.
Or maybe they're going to play TJ Hooker. She's like, he dresses up like TJ Hooker, and she pretends to be the hood of a car.
And he says, Mom, there's people moving in next door, and she says, oh, Bob Hoskins
Bob Hoskins
finally sold that house.
He took a break from filming Brazil.
Yeah, and before the Long Good Friday, and then
so the girlfriend goes home.
She leaves, and then I think we cut to the next day, basically.
And he's at school, and he's talking to his friend Evil.
Yeah,
Evil Ed.
Like this.
Are they in the cafeteria at this point? Yeah.
Played
and it's playing April Wine's "Rock Myself to Sleep." It's an April Wine song.
Oh, really?
Every night I rock myself to sleep. I want to give a shout out to that because Miles Goodwin is a face.
I always like the April Wine, to be honest.
Playing an April Wine song, "Rock Myself to Sleep."
And he's hanging out with his Stephen Jeffrey playing Evil Ed.
One of the most annoying performances of 1980s cinema.
Well, I love Evil Ed.
Like, I wanted to just reach down his throat and rip out his voice back. So, like clearing his shrill, and he's clearing phlegm.
To me, it seemed like he was acting in another movie for most of the time.
Yeah,
it was like a teen sex romp or something, like a Weekend at Bernie's or something like that.
Funny you should mention that. Because you know what wound up happening to Stephen Jeffries?
I have no idea.
He's quite the figure in the male porno.
Oh, really?
Oh,
he went on to be this big male, like gay porno icon.
Really?
Yeah, he's also in a movie that I wish we had called 976 Evil.
I remember that movie.
I remember the ads for it, yeah.
I've seen it many times. I was obsessed with it when I was like
18. It's not Jeff Goldblum, is it?
I
think it's something else. No.
I don't know what you're talking. Oh, you're talking about Transylvania 65000?
That's what I'm talking about. I know it had a number in it, yeah.
Michael Richards is in that as a hunchback.
Really?
Yeah. Anyway, so he's hanging out with Evil Ed, played by Stephen Jeffrey.
Yeah, and
who I actually thought was one of the more interesting... performances compared to the fucking librarian who was our lead character and his vanilla cream puff girlfriend. This guy wasn't at least Evil Ed was acting like a teenager.
Well, wasn't the insurance salesman guy doing like math in the cafeteria? 'Cause I have written down here he's doing a bunch of bullshit math
because he's failing trig.
Because before he's in the cafeteria, they're just on the campus at the school.
Right.
And you see the girlfriend giving him the cold shoulder and Evil Ed.
Yeah.
And she throws a burger in his face.
Not yet. That's not until the cafeteria.
No, this is in the cafeteria.
But he also finds out that he's failed a pop quiz. And
right. So he's doing like...
literally within the first delivery of that line, I didn't remember the film well enough to remember all the characters. I was like, please don't let this guy be a regular character in the movie.
Amy comes up and they sort of reconcile again.
Doesn't she just like walk right through him?
Yeah,
she kind of shoves him.
She bursts between him and Evil Ed.
Yeah.
But then they have a little conversation and they kind of make up, but then he ignores her again because he's distracted by something. He's distracted by math.
Is that another woman math?
And so she grabs a sloppy Joe and mushes it in his face.
And then Evil Ed, Brewster, you're so cool. Nick Strange knows all about this shit. And yeah, there's this website called Brewster, You're So Cool. It's just all about behind the scenes.
But you forgot, he gets distracted in the cafeteria because he sees the news report of
that's
murdered prostitute. The same woman he saw going into the house.
When you guys went to high school, did they have TVs with the news on?
No.
At
and it
lunch
certainly
break?
wouldn't be, especially not if there was like dead hooker news.
Murders, yeah.
They're not necessarily at the school, though. They're just in a diner.
No, they're at the school. They're in the school cafeteria.
Mid-conversation, Amy says, you can't go to the police with a story like that. Charlie goes, all right, then, I won't tell them he's a vampire. Like, he had to be strong-armed into not going into the police station.
With his ridiculous story.
Like, he was just going to go in and go, my neighbor's a vampire. Please lock me up for the rest of my life.
But the thing is, like, he saw the first woman that was killed because she asked him what house it was when she got out of the cab.
That's right,
So, like, all he had to do was go, yeah, I saw her. She asked me what house she wanted to go to. I told her... And now she's dead. Yeah, and that's all he had to say.
He also heard a scream, too.
Yes.
This vampire wouldn't last one episode of CSI. Because it's like the cab. Where did the cab drop you off in front of this fucking house?
I know. Like nobody investigated this thing at all.
Actually, yeah, there are no...
Well, there's one scene with one cop. And as soon as the vampire bullshit comes up, then he just... Then that's the end of that.
Well, that's after the second woman's killed.
Yeah. But
she watches through the window like the idiot vampire doesn't close the curtain.
Of course not.
That's true.
Yeah. No, he is one of the dumbest vampires in the history of vampires. Especially when he actually turns into the monster vampire. Totally dumb vampire. He's just it's basically because the makeup was so cumbersome. He just kind of looks around.
He's lurching around.
Yeah.
But when he's Turtlenecula. He's pretty fucking smart.
That's what they should have called this movie. Then Charlie sees across the way, he sees a woman taking her clothes off, and it's to get the gratuitous boob shot.
Yeah.
And Chris Sarandon comes up behind her and it's like getting erotic with her. He gets vampire with her.
Well, and then he looks at Charlie because now he knows. When I first saw that, to me that was the scariest thing because now the vampire knows that he knows he's a vampire.
So
Charlie, I was a kid when I watched this.
So Charlie runs over to Evil Ed. Why is he called Evil Ed?
I don't know why he's called Evil Ed.
Because he should have been. He should have been some kind of horror expert or something, but he wasn't. It was weird. They just had. He's just a weirdo.
He knew the rules of the vampire.
Everybody knows those rules.
I know,
except Charlie, because he's too busy studying to be the real estate salesman.
Which is idiotic because he watches Fright Night.
Exactly, he's a horror fan.
Yeah, you think
he watches vampire movies all the time.
Yeah,
you think he would
know?
We're
totally disassembling the logic of this movie.
Yeah. Shall we mention Charlie's mom, who's just a fucking idiot? The whole movies, and then it's finally. I think they realize. Like her character is so annoying and so pointless. They just wrote her out by saying she's working the night shift for the rest of the movie.
She doesn't notice that her door frame is busted.
I know.
The vampire destroys the door.
But also in the first scene when Amy leaves and she runs downstairs and Charlie catches up to her and she says, "Well, you didn't want to make love?" Yeah. And then Mom's sitting on the couch right there. What are you guys doing?
Oh, we're just fucking. Yeah. That's why I'm just like, Mom doesn't give a shit. She must be drunk. So Charlie witnesses Turtlenecula kill a woman.
Yeah.
And oh no, he's seen me. So then he goes over to Evil Ed's house, and Evil Ed's like, "Oh, Brewster, you're so cool. A vampire can't come into your house unless the fucking landlord invites him in or whatever.
Yes, specifically the landlord.
But it's like the rightful owner of the property.
Which is bullshit as well. It doesn't have to be the rightful owner. It could be anybody.
Anyone who's living there.
Yeah. Cut to.
He's in his room, and it's like, Charlie, would you come downstairs? Yeah. And he's like whistling like zippity doo dah. Yeah. He's like,
he's just seen a woman killed like a few hours before. And he's
whistling Dixie while he goes. He's like skipping.
It's not zippity doo dah, but I remember the song slips my mind. But he is whistling something popular.
Was it April Wine?
It wasn't April Wine.
No, Sign of the Gypsy Queen. Was that what he was?
It wasn't Sign of the Gypsy Queen.
Was it Christmas in Hollis?
I recognized a bit of it, but no, I recognized
How do you whistle rap anyway?
You cannot whistle rap. Stop trying to try.
I can barely whistle.
But
and lo and behold, Dr. Turtleneck.
Was he eating an apple at this point? Or
he eats a lot of fruit for a vampire.
Well, I looked that up.
Is he a fruit bat?
Almost 90% of bats are. There's a word for it. I wrote it down. I have it on my page here. 90% of bats are frugivores. Frugivores, which means they eat a lot of fruit.
Yes.
So that's why he was always eating
Everyone
fruit.
knows that.
Anyway, I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, the bats only eat like rotten fruit.
That was Chris Sarandon's add to the character.
Right.
Yes.
I find eating an apple is almost always a lazy suggestion by a bad actor.
Well, the first time he eats the apple, he eat the whole core.
Yeah, that was weird.
That was really weird. It's gross.
Who eats the core? I mean,
nobody eats the core because they're full of cyanide.
But I eat the entire. No, they're not. And arsenic, not cyanide.
Oh, what are those things?
It's not full of it.
It's loaded.
It's just that's where the fiber. I eat the core. The apple core is where all the fiber is.
But you don't eat that.
Yeah, I do.
Really?
Yes.
That's fucking gross. Apples are gross, anyways.
No,
but
they're delicious.
I hate apples. I hate eating apples.
It's like sometimes I don't even know you.
But eat it.
Bananas are disgusting.
I only eat bananas on my smoothie, but I don't mind apples if they're chopped up with a nice little piece of Parmesan cheese on it. But to eat like just an apple, like an apple,
I eat an apple every day, and that's why I never go to the doctor.
You should go to the doctor.
No.
He's gonna say, "Don't eat so many apples, dude."
I got you full of cyanide.
Yeah, all that cyanide.
What are you, a frugivore? So, anyways, so there's Dr. Turtleneck, and he's kind of like putting the moves on the old mom.
Well, it's weird because he comes downstairs. I'd like you to meet my neighbor, and he's sitting in the chair. And she's kind of standing right in front of the chair, which is a really awkward. Like he's like lounging. He's not even sitting. His legs are sticking out. To me, that's just I don't know. That's a red flag. I'm not inviting that guy over for dinner because he's making himself way too comfortable. So
then I guess he's in his room. There's a big fight in his room that Mom doesn't hear for some reason.
So later that night the vampire comes back and he enters
through the mom's room
and then stands there and looks at her. Why didn't he eat her?
Yeah.
But he did. Then
breaks her door.
Breaks her door so she can't open it. And then
she never noticed.
And then she goes and has a fight. He goes in and has a fight with Charlie.
Well,
he throws him like backwards through his closet.
He throws him through a wall.
Yeah, it's like everything's smashed. How can the mom not wake up? And how can
and then holds him up the window?
Yeah,
like.
Yeah. And then he stabs him with a pencil, which is pretty. That was pretty.
I
cool.
thought that was awesome when I was a kid.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah,
I love those practical effects.
And he momentarily sees his weird hands.
Yeah,
because he's in pain. So now you kind of.
And Amy's picture falls out the window and gets impaled on a fence. Also, that's another completely undeveloped thread here. Amy, the character, completely resembles some woman from the vampire's past.
It's never.
But they never fully explain.
Never. Yeah. Like the mom in this just gets dumber and dumber as it goes on. Like how could she not hear all that? And she comes in.
She does. She eventually hears it. She can't get out of her room, but she doesn't.
Oh, Charlie, what happened to my door?
Yeah, she doesn't notice anything about her door or anything.
Yeah,
that he broke the whole frame.
And your entire room's been demolished.
Her son's room's been
demolished, and she doesn't notice that.
There's blood all over the place.
Yeah, that's a bit of a plot hole, but anyway.
I love the effects in this movie.
The effects
are
amazing.
I love the effects are great. It was done on a $9 million budget, which is pretty small, I guess, for this kind of thing. When I first watched it, back in the day, you didn't see that kind of stuff, and it doesn't shy away from showing those effects.
At this point, he meets up with Roddy McDowall's character.
Well, he has all this evidence that there's something going on, and he doesn't tell anybody. He doesn't tell his mom because he's put off that nobody's believing him.
Yeah.
But his whole fucking room is wrecked.
You're only just noticing that poster that's been there for 10 years?
Well, I'm just noticing Ruth Gordon's on the poster, but she's not listed in the... Oh, wait, there she is. Okay.
Oh, my God.
Is our podcast getting in the way of your Ruth Gordon fan club experience? We can leave.
Anyway, so he decides he's going to approach Roddy McDowall thinking he's an actual vampire killer. I don't know why he would think that.
Because the news is real, so he must also be... He just thought Fright Night was the news.
But that's another thing that bothered me about this is like why would he assume this actor...
Because he's made all these movies, it's like maybe he's learned something.
But the movies...
It makes less sense in the remake when he goes to see a fucking illusionist.
Oh, I don't remember it at all.
Well, instead of a TV guy, it's...
David Tennant?
David Tennant, and he's like... This Chris...
mind freak?
Yeah, he's like a mind
Chris
freak.
Angel?
Chris Angel mind freak.
Oh, yeah?
Vegas showman.
Okay.
And so, who does a vampire-themed magic show. And so he's like, oh, that guy must actually kill vampires. It makes even less sense than the guy on TV.
Right.
But no, Roddy... So, yeah, what I find weird is that Roddy McDowall, this famous actor, lives in this shithole small town and hosts
he's fallen on hard times, you know.
He's like Bela Lugosi and Ed Wood.
Yeah, exactly.
He's living in a...
No one gives two fucks about Bella.
Exactly. His style of horror was totally out of date in the 80s. They explain that because all you want to see is people in ski masks hacking up teenagers.
Anyways, Roddy McDowall. He goes to visit, and Roddy McDowall's like, would you like an autograph? And he's like, no, I want you to come.
Why'd you come and help me kill my neighbor?
Kill my neighbor.
At this point, Roddy McDowall, whose character's name is Peter Vincent, which is a combination of Peter Cushing and Vincent Price.
Vincent Price, right, yeah.
And so they wanted Vincent Price for the Roddy McDowall role, but he didn't want to do it because he'd been doing so many things like this, and he just didn't want to do it at this point. Charlie Brewster leaves because Roddy McDowall thinks he's insane, and who would not think he's insane? And then he says he's going to go kill. He tells his friends he's going to go kill his neighbor that night, and so they go back to get Roddy McDowall to tell him to come and maybe sort of fake it. But so they go back to his house, and for some reason Charlie Brewster's like he's got his room adorned with like thousands of candles, and he's like sharpening a stake because he's planning to go and kill him the next day.
They make this weird crank phone call to the vampire house.
Yeah.
Like how do they know his phone number? And
exactly.
And
is he in the book?
And how many phone calls is this guy getting?
Yeah.
Like, oh, can I come over and show you a cross?
Yeah. What about some holy water? You gonna drink some holy water?
Like, he's like, oh no, you can't cross over because
born again.
Yeah,
I'm a born again
Christian. Which doesn't make any sense because when you want lots of crosses, if you're a born again Christian,
I'm a Muslim or some shit.
Yeah, but because born agains love crosses, they're all about crosses.
I think
they got crosses on their pajamas and stuff.
I don't think the Jewish people are into crosses.
No, but only Christians basically.
Just said, look, I'm a Jewish vampire. I mean, I'm Jewish, and I don't want to see.
I'm a Muslim vampire.
You don't see a lot of Jewish vampires either.
Maybe that's a new genre.
It just doesn't work.
No.
Anyways, so he's like, please don't bring any holy water. Or what the fuck? What? I can't remember. What was the pretense of them phoning and coming over?
Because they wanted to prove
that he's not a vampire.
That he's not a vampire.
It's like when the cops have to remove you from their list of suspects.
Yeah. It's like calling your neighbor, excuse us, but our friend who lives next door, we know he's already accused you of being a vampire. We think he has mental illness or whatever. Can we bring over a vampire hunter that he believes is a real vampire hunter? And
with some holy water
to show that you're not. Oh, it's just tap water.
Like don't show me a cross is kind of
a red
suspect.
Flag. That should be a flag.
It's a ludicrous question to ask, and also a ludicrous question to answer.
The answer just baffled me. No, I'm a born again Christian. I can't be around crosses. Well, okay.
Maybe if you been crucified? Look, I actually got crucified once.
Yeah, it's a triggering effect.
It triggers.
That's one of my all-time favorite routines by Bill Hicks is about, do you think if Jesus comes back, he's really going to want to see another cross? He's like, that's like walking up to Jackie Kennedy with a rifle pendant and saying you loved her husband, You just don't want to see it.
Just thinking of John. Yeah, I thought that whole thing. How about no? Don't come over to my fucking house, you weirdo. Like honestly, I'm an omnipotent vampire who's lived 1,000 years. It's like, this fucking kid. I just moved in 2 days ago. Yeah, he's nagging me. Why? Come on over.
Why just go murder him?
But only come over after dark without any crosses.
Yeah, why do they go in the daytime? It's ridiculous.
Knocking on his door. And him answering in the daytime would prove he's not.
Exactly.
Him not able to do that.
But he's away in business every time someone comes over in the daytime.
You get that awesome... So they come in, and there's that awesome entrance... Because and by the way, there's definitely definitely gay subtext in this movie.
Oh, there's a scene when this handler is cleaning his wound that he got stabbed with a pencil, but he's on his knees in front of him, like he's about to give him a blowjob or something like that, and it's totally suggestive. And then he pulls the blind down. So that's
and they're like an attractive couple of men
living
children,
together,
and, like,
living
live
together in a giant
and
cobwebby
house. The suburbs. I mean, that's always the subtext of modern day vampire movies. I'm sure there's been books written about it.
There's definitely a little homoerotic subtext going on.
Yeah.
Because it's obvious,
and that's usually the case.
Usually the case.
Well, like a lot of '80s vampire movies have got that.
Yeah,
well, they always seem gay.
Like
the Lost Boys always seemed really gay.
I'm trying to think of other like '80s vampire movies.
Vamp.
It's called Vamp.
The Lost Boys. So they go over, and there's that awesome sequence when you see Jerry Dandridge walk down those stairs.
The first thing is his nails going across the railing, and it's peeling off the paint. When he's just before he walks down the stairs towards them, it's awesome.
And he has that enormous stained glass window. Someone's going through that.
Yeah, it's coming into play.
Is that a load bearing wall? Like. Like, how do they have such a large... You can't just have a huge round stained glass window.
Actually, how do they know where Roddy McDowell lives? Everyone just shows up at his apartment. How do they know where he lives? It's just like, is he in the... I guess he's in the phone book?
Yeah, everyone knows where everyone lives.
Yeah.
And their phone numbers. So he drinks the holy water because...
It's just tap water.
So Roddy McDowell is like, yes, we do the vampire test. So he doesn't show him across because that would offend his religion.
The kid pulls one out
and he
reacts.
He backs away, and the other guy comes toward him like he's going to take him out.
Yeah,
and nobody notices that.
Nobody notices that.
Well, they're like 10 feet away.
Take it away because you're being rude.
Yeah, he drinks that, and everyone's convinced. Okay, we've convinced Charlie he's not a vampire, and then Roddy McDowell pulls out his little powder mirror thing,
yes,
and then he sees that there's no he has no reflection.
You know what the vampire should have done?
And breaks it.
Yeah.
The vampire should have, when he drank that holy water, I thought he was gonna like fake it, like
just for a joke.
And go, yeah, it's just water.
You
idiot, numb nut.
I thought it would have been funny.
You goof.
But anyways, so then Roddy McDowell sees doesn't see
in his mirror
that there's no reflection
he's gonna.
That was a pretty cool scene. It was a pretty effective scene because Roddy McDowell up to this point has been sort of like a timid, sort of scaredy cat through everything.
But now he's really scared.
I read that Roddy McDowell based his character on the Cowardly Lion in The Wizard of Oz.
I was saying, what makeup is Roddy McDowell wearing? Because he's super pale.
He looks like he has baby powder in his hair.
It does. Like, it's the worst powdered wig since Mickey Rourke's in Year of the Dragon.
Why is the vampire's house so full of clocks? There's like 50 clocks on the wall.
Because he wants to be aware of the time. He's super paranoid about it reaching dawn.
But the thing is, like, if you're going to do that, wouldn't you set the clocks to go off maybe 15 minutes before dawn?
So,
or not right at dawn?
Fair enough. A friend of mine in Nova Scotia when I was a kid, their family had that many clocks in the house. It was absurd. But we never suspected them of vampirism.
That must have been crazy. Especially,
it was crazy.
Especially
I never actually saw them go off.
Especially if they go off at different times. Yeah. Like every hour. That's pretty nuts.
So Roddy McDowell now knows that he's a vampire.
Yeah.
And loses his shit. And runs out to his old jalopy car.
Yeah. That was a pretty nice car.
And he fucking blurts it out, like right there on the curb. That guy didn't cast a reflection.
He's a vampire.
He's totally a vampire. Like, say it a little louder.
Yeah.
I can hear my fucking neighbors having arguments on the corner, right? So everyone knows this guy's a vampire.
Yeah.
And the vampire's just kind of okay with that.
Everyone knows he's a vampire, yeah. Disguise, he walks into the disco, and he murders two bouncers.
Okay, well, yeah.
This is where we are now.
We should fast forward. Yeah, so Evil and Charlie are walking Amy home.
Right.
And Evil's taking the piss, and Charlie is just like, it's like, we should go down this alleyway, Brewster.
Yeah, are you scared?
And it's like, well, no, I just don't want to walk down.
The thing is, all of a sudden, in the meatpacking district.
That's right.
Like,
yeah.
It's all alleys and abandoned buildings with, like,
from
warehouses.
To this, yeah.
Yeah, like, in like 2 blocks.
Like, why are they there?
And even weirder,
where does Amy live?
At this
in
point,
the meatpacking district.
And at this point, Evil Ed's been trapped. We already addressed it in a dead-end alley by Chris Sarandon.
After he's been chased for like miles of alley.
And he's already cried wolf by pretending to be bitten once, so they ignore his screams.
Yeah.
He gets attacked by Chris Sarandon, and then Chris Sarandon starts pursuing Amy and the insurance salesman. Here's the fucking thing. They enter a bar. They enter a nightclub no one else can get into through an open window in an alleyway.
Where's the kitchen? It's a kitchen. Yeah.
As if there's going to be an open takeout window in a goddamn alleyway.
Well, I know,
which is apparently infested with rats and vermin.
And it's not a takeout alley either. It's just a window. And then they run in, and the chef chases them and then gives up in the nightclub. And then so Charlie Brewster runs to the payphone, which of course is there, and he starts plugging quarters in it to call Roddy McDowell. And of course, when he's doing that, he turns his back so he doesn't see anything that's going on. Which is like you're being pursued. You've seen him pursuing by a vampire.
Yeah.
Like, why would you turn your back to anything?
Your mission of the whole evening is to get your girlfriend home safe, and you turn your back on her while being chased by a vampire.
And they've established he can fly. There's that one really cool shot when it's vampire's eye view, and he's like walking off the roof of a house.
And then it flies down into the yard,
So yeah, he's flying around.
Actually, that's the scene when he sees the apple, the full apple.
That was
because he's hiding. Charlie Brewster's hiding in the bushes, and the guys are loading the dead body into the car, and mom comes out like, Charlie, it's bath time.
Spawns him in the bushes, and he throws
stupid fucking mom.
What are you doing down there? Spying on those two sinister homosexuals. But anyway, so the sinister homosexuals chase them into this. That'd be a good name for a band. Into a nightclub. That's the Pet Shop Boys should have called themselves the sinister homosexuals. But because the one guy's not a vampire, he's just a thug.
Yeah, he's his handler.
I always want to know how do you meet? Like, what's the recruitment like? Like, I guess you're promised eternal life or some shit.
Yeah. Well, did you ever watch What We Do in the Shadows?
The movie, yes, but not the series.
Yeah, in the movie, because they have what's called a familiar who takes care of them with the promise of being turned into a vampire later on.
Yeah, I guess.
It's basically a slave.
And sometimes they're dogs, like in the Lost Boys.
Right, and sometimes they're Tom Waits, like in Dracula, Francis Ford Coppola's Dracula. They're in the disco, and I really don't.
And then it goes full on Dirty Dancing.
Yeah,
which
he's hypnotizing her with his eyes.
There's always the scene when the frail woman brain can't handle the superior vampire raw sexuality. Mm-hmm. They even film it that there's no one in the club at all, and it's just those two.
She keeps looking in the mirror and seeing.
That looked terrible.
It's so bad.
But
the continuity is a mess.
Before that, he gets her, drags her out on the dance floor, and he's sort of rubbing up behind her and grabbing her thighs, and she's all of a sudden her hair is like
Bride of Frankenstein.
Yeah, Actually, I thought she looked great.
Oh no, she is such a sexy victim.
Yes, she's a very sexy victim. But for me, this is when it gets really creepy because he's what, like, I don't know, he's probably like 800 years old, and she's 17. The age difference, I don't have a big problem with age differences if people are into each other. I don't really care.
Yeah,
that's a bit much.
But that's why.
The fact that he wants to suck her blood, the age wouldn't matter if she was 1,000 years old. And what just disturbs me is the fact that he wants to suck her blood.
But the thing is,
also she's supposed to be a high.
But it's also implied that it's a sexual thing because vampires have always been about sex as well. Yeah, and just the way that she's made to look is very seductive and.
I could never, but I never bought her once as a teenager. She looked more middle aged than the mom.
So Charlie Brewster's mom dating Charlie Brewster's mom's sister, so her aunt then, right? If they were the same age, if they're the.
What the hell are you talking about? Being pursued by Dr. Turtleneck, and then all of a sudden they hit the dance floor.
Yeah.
And he's kind of got her, right?
Yeah. That's pretty sexy.
And then you know that she's in his trance.
Uh-huh.
When she spins around and does like a full-on flash dance, the 80s dance,
and
she like puts her hand up like no,
yeah,
and then I just was waiting for the time of my life to start playing.
There's no way he's taking no for an answer.
Well, he's a vampire.
Yeah.
And so fucking Charlie, I guess he's getting drinks.
He's on the phone.
He's doing blow in the bathroom.
Yeah, he's doing blow on the phone and talking to Roddy McDowell for some reason. With his back turned to the whole bar and the whole thing.
Don't look after your girlfriend when you're being pursued by a vampire and an undead thug. So then the vampire, Chris Sarandon, is just like, for really no good reason, fuck it, I'm gonna kill everyone in this nightclub.
Well, he murders the 2 bouncers. Actually, the guy has a great line. He says, "You want chicken? You go somewhere else." Because he's macking on the young girl.
Oh,
so he sees that. I'm not insane. Like he sees that. He says, "You want chicken? You go somewhere else."
He sees that, but you are insane.
Anyways,
but so then he murders 2 bouncers, and then
only 2 black men in the film.
Yeah,
too.
I love that the transformation from her going from Charlie Brewster's sort of meek girlfriend to all of a sudden like with like she get a perm.
Oh, dude, she looks so good.
She looked great.
Yeah.
But like, how did that even happen? Like, they're dancing with a vampire.
Yeah,
I have that album actually.
Dancing with the vampire.
Man, I got so many notes for this movie. It's crazy.
And then there's all this chaos, and they're running up the stairs.
Nobody calls the police.
And Charlie,
the police never come. Like, and then he
considering and not to be a dick, but considering that both of the characters who are murdered are black, the cops would take their extra time to get there. Everyone's running out of the club,
and so
Chris Sarandon gets Amy back to his house,
and so insurance salesman goes back to Peter Vincent, Roy McDowell's house, who he still doesn't realize Peter Vincent is a character. It's not an actual person.
And Peter Vincent has already fought off Evil Ed at this point. This is another thing that I hated about the movie is that in this scene,
I really hate this movie.
Peter Vincent successfully fights off the annoying Evil Ed with a cross, burns him in the head.
Yeah.
Yet when he pulls out a cross to Chris Sarandon later, it doesn't do anything.
No, it does.
Because you gotta have the faith.
Yeah, but then he had the faith.
Yeah, but why did it work on Evil Ed?
Good question.
It's idiotic.
Good question.
It's
not idiotic. It's a little bit of a gap.
It's more than a gap.
It's a
major
It's not
defect
major.
to defend yourself against the villain, yet it works against other bad guys in the movie.
Maybe he's a lesser vampire. Because he's a lesser vampire.
Yeah.
Can you see where
Evil
we're
Ed
going
has been
with
a vampire for 40 minutes.
Yes, exactly. He's a baby vampire.
Yeah, he's like a fetus.
Think about that.
He will eventually become a handsome, dapper, turtleneck-wearing motherfucker, but for now, he's just a greasy,
there's
gross...
more Evil Ed to come, unfortunately.
Well,
and
no.
I don't mean that as a gay porn reference.
Wow. I hate myself for thinking that.
So anyway, can we please just get to the climax? Get this.
Now the house is so much eviler looking.
Did Snoop Dogg move into this house?
Like,
because all this smoke is pouring out of it.
No one notices. Yeah, this steaming house.
And it just keeps pumping out. Like, why is it so steamy?
Maybe they're making dumplings.
Yeah.
It's just like,
it's a big dumpling fest.
Like cooking. There's a lot of cooking going on. But it's like the steamiest house.
Before that, we have Roy McDowell killing Evil Ed in Charlie Brewster's house.
Well, yes.
And he attacks him. Well, at first
he turns into a dog.
I think it was a wolf, but it was the most tame, boring-looking wolf you've ever seen. It was like a wolf, like in a zoo. It's just kind of standing there looking at him. It's like confused.
Like if he said sit, it would sit.
Because wolves are not evil. Wolves are beautiful creatures, and they will not just attack you. And it looks like a big dog.
It was a very well groomed.
Yeah, it looked nice.
It's been eating organic food.
Yeah, and it ran in slow motion at him.
It's like one of our customers has a beautiful white dog.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
I can't remember. Her name escapes me.
Anne, her name is.
Yes, and if you're listening, Anne, your dog is gorgeous.
Yes.
That's what I thought. Like, oh, look at that evil wolf has been really well looked after.
But it was such a funny scene because like he attacks him in. For some reason they're in Charlie Brewster's bedroom in their house.
He goes to the house to wake up the mother to get help.
But mom's working the night shift because she's written out of the screenplay at this point. Evil Dead
is written is like hiding in a wig and stuff. In the
bed. Right. Well, the thing is, what if he didn't go in the room? And so Evil's just gonna wait, like dressed as his mom with a red mop on his head,
just in case Peter Vincent happens to run next door looking for him.
I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna hide in the bed.
Have you ever tried to scare someone and then they just never came in the room? Nice try.
I used to when my kid was growing up. I used to scare him every chance I could. I would hide around corners. I would like pop out of things.
Like when he was a little baby?
Like a
newborn, you pretend to drop him?
Maybe not.
You put him in the bath and leave the water running and leave the room?
Exactly.
You help deliver him, and upon delivery, you're like,
And I'd have some cables hooked up to a battery about to put him in the water.
You're like Dr. Giggles. We should have done Do we have Dr. Giggles?
No, we don't.
Oh, we need to get that one.
Agreed.
So Evil Ed is lying in bed, and he's got like a Raggedy Ann.
Yeah, he's like
wig on. It's not even like a real looking wig.
No, it's like a mop that he's like spray painted red or something like that.
Yeah,
it's terrible.
And he's like super under the sheets and everything, right?
Because nobody sleeps like that.
Yeah, and then he's like, "Whoa!"
Yeah.
And
then Ron McDowell's all afraid, and he backs.
He says there's dinner in the oven.
Yeah, and he falls into a table, and the table is so poorly made, it totally destroyed as soon as he basically backs into it.
Yeah.
And then Evil Ed turns into a really slow moving, nice looking wolf.
Yes.
And
very docile.
And it kind of saunters down towards them. Maybe
slow motion.
If he just stays like a docile wolf, then there's no need to kill him.
It has demonic eyes for a minute, and then it turns into the littlest hobo.
There's a voice.
Keeps on calling me.
By the way, have you ever seen the last episode of The Littlest Hobo?
No, I haven't. Thanks. But I saw the Chuck Shimada episode with the tire iron. Well, that's terrifying.
What happens with the tire
iron?
A
guy dies by tire iron.
How do you die by tire iron?
I met Chuck Shimada's son at a film festival years ago. He's a filmmaker now, Jesse Shimada, and he said for the scene with the dog where it's supposed to tackle the Chuck Shimada character, they couldn't get the dog to do it, so they actually picked up the dog and threw it at him.
How are your beers?
I'm okay, thanks. I just cracked this one.
Anyways, let's get back to the movie. It's the longest death scene.
It's a really long.
It's a long death scene.
It's the best scene in the movie. Him basically turning into a dog man and dying, and Roddy McDowell.
He turns from a wolf dog back into a man.
Yeah,
that's it.
Which is
actually,
it was
he
really
turns into a dead 16-year-old who was not wearing any clothes,
naked. And
how do you explain that?
I know the banisters destroyed. Even if you got rid of the body, how would you explain the broken banister
and the big blood stain?
Also, who's going to tell Ed's family? Like, oh, sorry, we just haven't seen him.
It wasn't addressed at all that they murdered this child in the house. The naked 17-year-old whose body they just left there. Yeah,
I don't think he's British.
He does seem British.
I don't think he was British. His
name's Roddy.
In Planet of the Apes, he really seemed British.
No, he just did that. I don't think he was. I could be wrong. You know.
Anyways, let's get back to we're going on to the big showdown in the house.
Yeah.
Roddy McDowell's finally got some courage.
Yes.
They go into the house and have the showdown with Chris Sarandon.
And they have a scene that is
actually
flat out Abbott and Costello. Did you notice that there's a lot of like goofy comedy moments? Because
this film was billed as a horror comedy back in the day.
Oh, really?
And that's where I take the biggest issue, because it's not the least bit scary and it's not the least bit funny.
But it's entertaining all the way through.
Yes. There's a moment when the weird butler guy.
What's his name? It wasn't Jeeves. It was like Gary.
Don't they kick him down a flight of stairs?
No,
or something?
He shoots him in the head.
He shoots him.
But then he gets up.
Which is.
But he's resurrected zombie stuff.
So like he's got a gun pointed at him, and he's walking towards the gun. What is end game there? What does he think? He's going to do?
Turn to a zombie.
He thinks he's bluffing him.
But he just shoots him in the head, and he falls all the way down the stairs. And then
Chris Sarandon emerges.
Reanimates.
This is when he jumps through the window.
Before that, they shoot him in the head, and they start walking up the stairs sort of shoulders abreast. And it's totally an Abbott and Costello meets the Mummy type thing, because in the background you see the guy get up, and then they stop, and they kind of look at each other, and then they turn around.
Well, I guess it's supposed to be scary or
I think it's
funny.
Supposed to be
It was
funny.
A horror comedy.
Yeah.
What's weird is I've never once thought of this movie as a comedy.
Yeah. I you shouldn't, because it fails.
I always thought it was kind of like a screwball horror, but not actually like
screwball horror.
Screwball horror. We just invented a new category of movies.
Like really. Hand in hand,
not meant to be taken seriously, but still very scary horror movie. Because again, I was 10 when I saw this,
scary.
And the poster's really scary.
The poster's not scary.
Oh, come on!
The poster's terrifying.
I love the poster.
Anyways,
you get your arms crossed. The poster isn't scary.
You're right. It's not.
So, anyways,
the closing credits didn't roll fast enough.
The closing credits also is the final insult to injury, because it's the Jay Giles band without Peter Wolf.
I can't believe you actually have a grievance with the closing credits of this fucking movie.
Not the credits themselves, but the song.
Of course he does.
It's Jay Giles band without Peter Wolf, and they were rock bottom at that point.
Well, they killed the wolf.
They killed the wolf.
Anyways,
so they should have settled for a freeze frame.
Okay, we're not
freeze frame.
Freeze frame wouldn't make any sense.
No, but they should have settled for a freeze frame Get it? The joke? Not the song.
Oh, what do you mean like...
I'm poking fun at Jay Giles Band.
I hope they're not listening.
I couldn't name a single Jay Giles Band song.
Peter Wolf, if you're listening, they sucked without you.
Didn't Jay Giles do
Centerfold? Yes.
Oh, yeah, I love that song.
They had the big
sexy song.
Freeze Rain.
Yeah. All right, dads. Finish this motherfucking podcast.
Yeah. All right. So the guy comes back up the stairs after he resurrects himself. Yeah, and they keep shooting him. And that gun is producing so much smoke.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's so much smoke. And then I guess it's to have the effect because he comes back again with his arms outstretched like a zombie guy. And then he just starts melting. And
that's awesome.
He turns into like Jello and then sand.
Why does he melt?
I don't know. I have no idea what he's made of. I don't know why he
throw
did that.
Holy water on him or some shit?
No, he just started falling apart.
They just shoot him so many times.
Yeah, they shot him like 9 times. Actually, no, I think they drove a stake through his heart as well.
Oh,
it was like a fence post, and
they remind me of the green stuff from Reanimator, but it wasn't.
So they kill Mr.
Whatever
Belvedere.
Mr. Belvedere.
Evil Mr. Belvedere.
Evil Mr. Bell. Actually, it's funny when this guy auditioned for the role because he's supposed to be like a hulking presence, and so when he went to audition for the role, he put all this padding in his clothes and stuff. But then when he actually got the role, which because the production started like 3 or 4 months later, he just went to the gym and just worked out like crazy.
Just drank a bunch of raw eggs.
He's one of the worst henchmen ever in a film.
He was okay.
I don't think so. I think
he wasn't worse. He was okay.
Fine.
I thought he was vaguely threatening. That just didn't give him enough to do.
That is one of the consistent problems of this movie is everything just kind of happens.
Like all he did was thwart the police and give him blowjobs. That was all he did there.
And carry a coffin.
And carry a coffin.
It's in his job description.
Yeah.
Blowjobs, coffin carrying,
but
cop thwarting, and melting. So
so they're in the house, and Amy's being turned into a vampire because she's being bit.
Yeah, that's right.
And she's been put in a sexy gown.
Oh, yeah, and so Charlie got locked in a room with his girlfriend, who's going to turn into a vampire.
Right.
She's even sexier when she's a vampire.
Oh, she's way sexier.
Until she gets that freaky mouth.
Yeah, the freaky mouth.
That freaky mouth is awesome.
Wasn't it awesome? Yeah. So they split up, and Charlie's in the basement, and she comes down, and she's wearing like that see-through sheer. And holy crap, that was sexy. That was
a hot 15-year-old.
Don't say that. I feel like a horrible old man thinking how attractive she was.
There's a reason for that.
Yeah.
Well, it's because the actress was a middle-aged woman.
Yeah. Okay.
So
I feel better.
You're not actually looking.
I feel better now because I remember like thinking how hot she was when I watched this when I was like 19 years old. When I first saw it.
See-through sheer. I just don't want to hear any references to our Tory party.
Andrew Scheer.
Yeah, no, that's
you didn't even make. You just dropped that. That was an assemble your own pun. Like I have to assemble my own pun to not
your average stand-up routine, you know.
Oh, not so bad. Let's just cut to the chase.
Yeah.
He holds up a cross, and she's like, "Bah," and so I think he locks the girlfriend in the thing, and then the big plate glass window. He
jumped. The vampire jumps through the window. He jumps through the window, and then they have a conversation. And as they're having a conversation,
stall him until daylight.
But
the clocks go off. They break through daylight. They kill him. Let's just end this, please.
Dude, no, we're not even.
The film is so excruciating.
We're at the best part of it. Now we're actually talking about the good shit.
The best
part. There's this awesome scene where they show he goes around the window. They show him turning into a bat. And
he turns into an awesome
rubber bat creature that attacks Roddy McDowell, and he's got like a bone or something, and the thing is in his mouth, and it's attacking him.
He full on bites through Charlie's arm.
Yeah, and he also, I think he bites Roddy McDowell as well. But
so why aren't they turning into vampires? I guess
because they end up killing him, I guess. But
and he flies down.
I love that bat creature because it looked so awesome and fake at the same time. But I just loved it. I loved it.
Yeah, it looks like the best like haunted house that you would go to on a Halloween night.
And it was so ferocious and like Roddy McDowell's fighting it for like what seemed like an eternity, and like where the fuck is Charlie? Come and grab this thing and pull it off him, and eventually he does, and then it bites him in the arm, and then the light hits it, and he takes off downstairs and tries to get into his coffin, and they have to pull open the coffin. The other
he closes the coffin.
He closes the coffin from the inside, and then Amy attacks what's his face. the insurance salesman
Charlie?
with the awesome mouth.
That amazing mouth.
Yeah, that for me that was the most terrifying thing in the movie when she turned into like the sexy, awesome, sexy vampire, and then all of a sudden she had a horrible mouth. I want to eat him.
But it's like terrifying. Super wide. Like
it was super wide.
It was some kind of weird prosthetic.
Yeah, it was good. It
went over her jaw. Like her jaw was the actual mouth.
It was pretty great. The practical effects on that were pretty great.
And then when you think all is lost, because early in the film you saw them spray painting the basement windows black. And
stupid vampire. When he's a vampire, he's so stupid. He just looks around and does stupid things. He actually throws something at Roddy McDowall and breaks the window.
Yeah.
And doesn't even notice. Like, I'm a stupid vampire.
This thing I hate is the only thing that could ever kill me is flooding into the only place I can sleep.
Yeah, it's also a good thing that it was a really insanely bright sunny day out. Like
it was Vancouver.
That there were so many windows in the place where he keeps his coffin
in the basement suite.
Break. You think they would have bricked them over?
Well,
they just moved in.
Well, and to have that many windows in a basement suite is unheard of.
I don't know. I lived in a basement. I've lived in several basements.
With that many windows?
Yeah. Let's just get on with this. Let's put Alex out of his misery. So so then they flood the fucking place with light, and then there's an awesome death.
Yeah.
Where the vampire deaths in this movie are so good.
They're so good.
I wish there was more than just 2 vampires.
I know.
Give me like 6 or 7 of those awesome vampire deaths. Like from dusk till dawn. Like just a room full of vampires all exploding.
Yeah. Well,
so
I love
Dandridge, like, not only does he fucking turn into a crazy bat skeleton,
which was cool.
I'm guessing stop motion animation or like a puppet.
Yeah. Whatever.
Not CGI, which is
it didn't exist then.
And then he fucking exploded.
Goodness. Yeah.
Oh, the other guy exploded too, and his slimy skull slid across the floor.
That was awesome. And it banged open, and the mouth went open. Of course it did.
See, that's a horror movie, man.
Yeah.
And then woo.
And it's over.
That's over. And then my mom didn't notice the naked teenager in
the living room. She comes home from work at 6 in the morning.
Were you guys playing hooker?
The very next scene, it's like everything's back to normal. They're making out, and they're not even mourning the fact that they're
I know. It's like the next day.
They would have had to dispose of his body, and that's no big deal.
No, that's what I was thinking. Is like, well, what do they do? Like, how do they explain it to any exactly?
Yeah.
But then he sees the glowing eyes in the house.
Oh yeah. Because apparently he didn't slowly.
No, the thing that death took forever.
Yeah.
That took forever for him to die, and he was dead. And there's no.
Yeah. But unless he was faking.
Yeah. Faking
his orgasm.
And then so they're making out, and then Roddy McDowall's on TV, and he's like,
so he got his job back because he actually killed a vampire. So he can have your show back. Earlier in the film, he'd been fired because nobody's watching the show, but now he's back on the air.
Because he killed a vampire.
Because he actually killed a vampire.
Yeah,
because he killed a teenager.
And the producer's like, me too, don't tell anyone. And then through the window he sees across the street at the house.
Not across the street, just across the lawn.
Whatever. It's like our town, across the fence, whatever.
In the same house.
And then you see a couple of glowing red eyes. They're probably held up by a couple of red flashlight.
Yeah, it worked.
Yeah. And then you hear just so Alex can totally love this movie right up to the very end. You're so cool, Brewster! From earlier in the movie, and then the closing credits, which Alex hates.
That's the dreadful reminder of the worst rock move in history of 80s rock and roll. Next to the Clash firing Mick Jones was Jay Gall's band firing Peter Wolf.
What about Van Halen getting rid of David Lee Roth?
Well, David Lee Roth quit.
But that was still
you should write a letter.
I will. I'll write a letter to the Jay Gall's band.
So.
Yeah,
Darren, does this hold up?
Well, when I watched this movie in the 80s, I loved it. It's not as good as I thought it was, but it's still totally enjoyable. It was fun.
I would agree. It was a totally different experience because I haven't seen it since I was a child, and I thought it was a much more serious, terrifying movie when I was a kid. I think I liked it even more. Alex, I don't think we...
Well, we shouldn't even ask Alex. Go ask Alex.
That stoic glare.
Go ask Alex when you're 10 feet tall.
Come on, Chris.
All right, Alex, what do you think?
Tell us what you thought.
It was a complete chore to get through. It was worse than I remembered. It's not funny. It's not scary. The special effects are incredible. The house set is amazing.
Yep.
The film could be totally re-edited into a fascinating short between Roddy McDowall and Chris Sarandon. But the 3 youth leads, including the one who ended up on Married with Children, were god-awful.
Yeah.
There were huge plots. Let me finish.
She's come on.
She's terrible in the film. And, yeah, the film could have been really interesting with, like, a vampire hunter who takes his job too seriously and then goes after a vampire.
And actually murders just actors who've played
Actually,
vampires.
I would like to see that movie.
I wouldn't say that, but I really thought it was worse than I remembered. But the effects are great. The set of the house was great, and Roddy McDowall and Chris Sarandon were fantastic.
Yeah.
But the henchmen and the 3 leads were excruciating.
It is Monday here at Black Dog Video on Commercial Drive, also on Canby, and it is 2 for 1 every Monday. So, Darren, somebody comes up to the counter with a copy of our DVD. We should get
Fright Night.
If we can get the Blu-ray, that'd be great.
I'd love to have a Blu-ray, yeah.
But they bring Fright Night to the counter. What would you recommend as a pairing?
I have 9 pairings to recommend.
Woo, you're pulling an Alex.
No, I'm kidding. Well, I think that the obvious one would be Near Dark, which is I think it's a superior vampire film. It's a little more serious. But I'm going to go with a movie that we did on our podcast a little while ago called Of Unknown Origin.
Oh, really?
Yes, because it's a movie about a guy who's obsessed with something that's attacking him and nobody really believes him and he has to deal with it all on his own. And I loved Unknown Origin. I think it's a better film than this. It's more fun.
It is absolutely a better film than this, yes.
But I think that'd be an interesting double bill.
How about you, Alex?
I would recommend, and I never thought I'd actually say this in a sentence, even though I enjoy the film I'm about to recommend, but the far superior Lost Boys.
Lost Boys?
That's easy. And I never thought I'd use that term, because I've always liked Lost Boys, but I've liked it as schlock, but I have to admit it's several notches above this.
I've always liked Lost Boys. I've never thought it was like a great film. I thought it was a pretty good film.
The soundtrack is fucking great.
And that being said, however, not being a great film, but put it this way. Fright Night makes like Lost Boys look like Nosferatu. Makes it look like a gothic masterpiece.
Well, I don't know about that.
I even forgive Kiefer's mullet for it, but
he does a bad mullet in that movie. Joel Shoemaker, right?
Yes.
Yeah, Shoemaker.
Yeah, he's never really made a great film.
Well, that's not entirely true. He's made mostly schlock, but he did do Falling Down.
I do like Falling Down.
He has the occasional gem.
My pick
We've already done this. Oh, yeah, you've done yours. Oh, yeah.
Because this is very 80s. I'm gonna go very 70s.
Ooh.
Similarly, a campy thrill ride.
Dog Day Afternoon.
Involving
with Chris Sarandon.
Involving an awesome vampire and kind of a washed-up hero, Kolchak the Night Stalker.
Oh, I love the Night Stalker. It was a series, was it? It was a movie and a series.
There was a TV movie called Kolchak the Night Stalker, then Kolchak the Night Strangler, and then they made.
And then Kolchak.
Darren McGavin.
Darren McGavin. I used to watch Kolchak as a kid, and it terrified me.
Me too. I loved it so much.
In fact, I was just in Seattle a few days ago, and I was like, "Oh, Kolchak." Because Kolchak lived in Seattle. Although in The Night Stalker, he's based in Las Vegas.
Right.
It's about a vampire, very 70s vampire, in Vegas. Similarly campy. It's got great action. It's got Darren McGavin. The Night Stalker would absolutely be my pick. It's actually better than Fright Night.
It is better. It's better.
The copy we have, I got to say this. 2006, I took a road trip to San Francisco with Eliza Navari and Danielle Zamfleet, former... They were at the time Black Dog employees. The 3 of us went down there with another friend. We went down to San Francisco. I bought that 2-for-1 movie and then donated it to the show.
Oh, that's nice.
Wait a minute. I thought I donated it.
I donated it to the show.
Actually, I'm going to throw in another recommend. What about the original Salem's Lot? Which is it's a fucking vampire moving in the next door.
David Soul.
Yeah, and James Mason as the handler and one of the best vampires.
Yeah, I haven't seen it since I was so young, so I'd have to.
Yeah, those kids crawling.
Everyone talks about the clawing at the window scene.
Yeah, it's actually pretty great. It's a mini series with
we've got it here.
What's
David
his name?
Soul.
Lance, the kid. Not Lance Henriksen, but it was
Armstrong.
No, it's Lance Armstrong as the as the kid, as the teenager who's experiencing all the horror. But yeah, it's actually pretty great.
Jack Palance?
No, it's not Jack Palance.
You could also recommend that.
Yeah, why not?
That's Weirdos Moving In Next Door.
Yeah, yeah.
Or Neighbors with Belushi and which is one of the worst films of all time.
Yeah, it's not very good. Is it?
Absolutely excruciating.
That is our podcast.
Shall we shut this motherfucker
gentlemen,
down?
Boys and girls, happy
Or
Halloween.
and
scary,
by the way, scary Halloween.
Or
who
should we say unhappy Halloween?
Yeah, who says
if you
happy
have the
Halloween?
misfortune of watching Fright Night during it.
Fright Night's great. Don't listen to
Enjoy your
Mr.
Fright Night.
Curmudgeon.
It's fun. Watch it with your friends. It's a lot of fun.
Mr. Grumpus to my left. We are located here in Black Dog Video at 1470 Commercial Drive in rainy East Vancouver.
And 3451 Cambie Street.
Just across
in
from
scary
the
Vancouver.
It's a spooky, rents are too high, and everyone lives in a basement.
And with all the windows.
And spiders and corrupt property investors. And check out our website. Go get your haircut at Jefferson's Barbershop.
Yeah, they got good hair.
Commercial. And go to the Rio Theater.
We show at least one horror movie a month as Liam. I mean, come see our other movies as well.
Yeah, the Rio's great. Black Dog is great. You're great.
Good night, monkeys.
Good night, winged monkeys.
Winged monkeys.
Moo! And we're done.
All right.
The Black Dog After Dark podcast is recorded at Black Dog Video on Commercial Drive in Vancouver, Canada. It's presented by Alex Chisholm, Darren Gay, and Dylan Reimer. It is produced by Dylan Reimer and Darren Gay. Alex just kind of stands there and drinks beer. The intro and outro music was recorded by Tiger Burning Bright, composed by Jeff, who works at Jefferson's Barbershop, also on Commercial Drive. And he's a damn good hairstylist.